get to take our time with it. I don't have to rush you guys because we have 2 hours. So I'm gonna start you off with a warm-up that should take, I'm thinking about maybe 10 minutes or so. I want us to take some time. I know we've had a long week, we're sore. Miranda also wadded today. So I wanna just take some time to really get y'all warmed up. So first I'm gonna have y'all start out with a minute of singles. I'm gonna set a 10-minute timer just for myself to keep track of drill one at a time, and then have you go into a minute of practice for each drill. And then after that, on the other side of the whiteboard, I have some tips. So once we're done with the drills, I'm gonna go over all of the tips and kind of give a little example of those. And then I'll have you guys go into some practice periods. And just like I did last time, I'll stop and I'll take some video of you when I feel like you're getting close. Or maybe if you're really struggling with something, and then I'll stop you, point out in the video where you're going wrong, or just something that maybe you need to tweak a little bit, and let you keep going. So we'll go back and forth with that. Any videos that you want that I take of you, I will happily send to you. For those of you that are practicing at home, I highly, highly recommend taking a video from a front side angle. So you don't want it completely to the side, and you don't want it right at the front, because both of those extreme angles are gonna miss some of the things. So getting that front side is really gonna help you see some of the things you would miss from getting it straight on from the front or side. So first for these drills, what we're gonna start with is the tall, slow jump. So we're not gonna add in penguin taps yet. We're not gonna do anything with our arms yet. All we're gonna focus on is keeping a constant rhythm with those tall, slow jumps. So I don't want each jump your specific goal for it to be tall and slow. I want it to be an overall goal, that all of your jumps are tall and slow, but they're also in the same rhythm. So it's nice, tall, same rhythm. So I'm gonna put a minute on the clock. So you do not need to be jumping entirely for that minute. Do like maybe 10 seconds of jumping, 5 seconds of rest, whatever you're feeling, however you're feeling good. You know we're all a little exhausted. Let's penguin taps. So again, while you're maintaining that rhythm, you're jumping, you're keeping your jumps on the balls of your feet. With these penguin taps, just make sure you're honest with yourself and you're not still penguin tapping as you hit the floor. That's not really gonna help your rhythm, because you can't keep your double unders going if you hit the floor while the rope is beneath you. So make sure those penguin taps are while you're in the air, both of them. So let me set that timer again. So now we are gonna grab our rope, but we're not going to be jumping with it yet, or we're not gonna be swinging it yet, I should say. So you can have it in front or behind you, it's up to you. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna incorporate those tall, slow jumps, but this time instead of penguin taps, you're gonna shake the rope as if you're double undering, but you're not swinging the rope. So what that looks like is, what I really like about that is that what's great about the penguin taps is it gets you used to the sound of the rhythm and helps you keep you honest as to whether or not you're jumping like high enough and long enough for you to get the double unders in. What's great about this is it gets you used to the actual feeling of having the rope in your hands and the weight of the rope. So we're gonna go ahead, essentially you're replacing your penguin taps just with the jump rope shake, but we are not swinging it around over our heads yet. We're gonna put it all together. So now I want you to do those nice tall jumps with some singles, and then when you're feeling comfortable and ready, go into a double under attempt. So with this drill, something to focus on is that your jump for your singles should be the same height and rhythm as your jump for your double under or double under attempt. So what that'll look like, except you won't hit the table, you'll have nothing behind you to hit. But the jump was the same. It felt sped up to me because I was trying to get that jump rope around faster, but the jump should be just about the same as those singles. I'm gonna go through all of these tips and kind of demo the do's and don'ts of them and then I'm gonna give you guys about 15 or 20 minutes. I'll put 20 minutes on the clock. If you're done before then you're done before then. That's fine. About 15 to 20 minutes to go ahead and practice this. And then I'm gonna have us do a short WOD. and it's not gonna be anything super crazy. The goal of the WOD is more so, it's really not gonna tax you at all. It's not gonna be heavy, it's not gonna be a ton of burpees or anything like that. So the goal is that I have found personally and observationally that double unders happen when you're under that stress of being in a WOD. So a lot of people who are working on their double unders find they can like magically get them a lot better when they're in the midst of a WOD, under that pressure. They don't have time to think about it. Their body is just taxed enough to be loose. And then you're just getting your double unders a lot better than you were able to do practicing before the WOD or anything like that. So that's the goal of the WOD. So it's not gonna be anything crazy, don't worry about it. So anyways, into the tips. First tip is that you wanna keep your chest nice and tall and your shoulders back. None of this. Having your shoulders back will help you be able to keep your arms right at your side where you need them to be. Second tip is to keep those nice, tall, slow jumps, just like we did during the drills before this. But what I want you to think about with these nice, tall, slow jumps is making sure not to do dolphin jumps or pike jumps and none of those high knees just to get the rope around underneath you. When you do both of those things, you're messing up your rhythm. When you do the high knees, especially, you tend to land flat-footed and then you can't keep your double unders going. When you do the dolphin jumps, you're messing up your rhythm. You tend to land more flat-footed. However, I have seen people be able to land their dolphin jumps on their toes more so than the tuck jumps, but either way, neither of them are the optimal double under jumping form. Next, stay controlled. So don't just start going crazy trying to get that rope around underneath you. That is a big, I see that most commonly with people who have literally just started trying to get their double under. For people who have been practicing more, even if you haven't yet gotten your double unders, but you've been practicing a while, you tend to be a little bit more controlled. But the people who are literally just starting out tend to just try to flip that rope around like crazy, trying to do anything they can just to get that rope around underneath them twice in that one jump. So stay nice and controlled, because going crazy like that is not gonna get you double unders. If you miraculously get a double under like that, it's not repeatable. You can't keep them going. So stay controlled. The next one will be arms down and close. So what I mean by that is I don't wanna see your arms all the way out here trying to get your double unders. What that might actually mean if you're doing that is that your rope might be too long, which we'll cover that in a couple of tips, hopefully in the next tip. So keeping your arms nice and close, the top of your arm should be pretty close to your torso. Depending on the jumper, some people keep them a little bit further out, some people keep them a little bit closer. But you'll kind of get that rhythm as you start to get practicing. And then same with your forearms, they're gonna be angled outwards more so than the upper half of your arm, but I don't want them out here. Not 90 degrees from your torso. It should be relatively downwards. So now the rope length. When you have your jump rope, if you have your own rope, the great thing about that, which I see you both have your own rope, the great thing about that is that you can keep your rope length where it's at all times. If you're using a gym rope, however, they're all adjustable so you can change it. So make sure to change it before the WOD. We have a screwdriver up here. You can ask the coach to help you change it. So what you want is your handles should be at your armpits. And now I just say generally handles at your armpits because it's up to the athlete for how long they like the rope to be. I like the bottom of my handles at my armpits when I'm stepping on the rope with both feet. Some people like to have the tops of their handles at their armpits, so that means the rope's a little bit shorter. But just in general, some part of your handles should be at your armpits, whether it's the top or the bottom of your handle. I would suggest for beginners to have the bottom of your handle. It makes the rope a little bit longer. Having a shorter rope definitely makes the double under a little bit harder. But again, that's athlete preference. All right, and the next one, spin from your wrist. So that rope spin should be coming from shaking your wrists. I don't want to see you trying to move your elbows or your shoulders, trying to get that rope around. It should be just a quick flick of the wrists to spin that rope. And then keeping your feet together. Keep your feet together as you jump, relatively together. I mean, you don't have to have them nice and glued together, but you want them pretty close together as you jump. It'll keep your jumps controlled and even. Also, if your feet are far apart, I've noticed for me especially, if the further far apart my feet get, the more my rope gets caught between my feet and then I trip on my double unders. So keeping your feet nice and close together, it also helps you to keep your jumps controlled so that you're not dolphin kicking or tuck jumping. So, and then one thing to keep in mind is that as you're spinning your rope, that second spin is like slightly faster than that first spin. So that first spin, second spin comes in really quickly. So that's one thing that kind of can throw off jumpers a lot is not really taking into account the different speeds of the two spins that you're doing in the one jump. So that's just kind of something to keep in mind. Your second spin is going to be faster than your first spin. And then jump slower than you're spinning. So something that's definitely more common with newer jumpers as they're trying to learn double unders is that your spins and your jumps cannot be the same cadence because you wouldn't be able to get two spins in one jump if they were. So that's something to keep in mind because that's a subconscious response I think that a lot of people have is where they just try to match their jumps to their spins and that's of course gonna cut their double unders off. And then my final tip is as you're starting to learn is by not trying to start off by just getting a bunch of double unders in a row. It's straight up not gonna happen. So start with trying to do single, single, double, and continue on with singles. So just pepper in a double in your singles. And then as you're starting to get used to that, go into maybe single, single, double, single, single, double, and then going even further, single, double, until you are feeling confident to try to do double, 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 double. Also, if you need to do singles to start off, that's something that a lot of athletes do, even people that are proficient in double unders. I personally always start off with 2 to 3 singles, and then I can just keep my doubles going. I don't know why, it just doesn't work for me to just go straight into my doubles, never has. Other athletes like Coach Sergio will just go straight into his doubles. So even after you start to get your double unders, don't feel bad that you still have to do a couple singles to get into them. That's okay, that's normal. So those are all of my tips to keep in mind. I know that's a lot to think about, but it's just something, I have a picture of this, I'll post it in the Facebook group. I can text it to you too if you want it. Just kind of keep those in mind, and those are the things that I'm really gonna be looking for as you practice. For those of you at home, those are the things you should be looking for when you film yourself as you're practicing. So, yes, Adam. Oh, that's a good point. I like to spot. Definitely don't look at the floor. If you're looking at the floor, you're gonna be moving forward. It's gonna make you wanna fall over. You should spot something that is directly in front of you or just above. So what I mean by spot is ballerinas, when they spin, they look at something on the wall, and as they spin, they whip their head around to look back at that same spot. Obviously, we're not spinning, so just like find some place in front of you that you are comfortable looking at, and like something like just really generic. So right now, I am spotting the window pane, the middle window pane, and I will just look at that as I'm jumping, just to keep myself in a good, something just to keep, it's almost something to focus to not focus on. Because you're really kind of focusing on your rhythm, your technique, your count, but it's just a place to keep your head focused on. Another thing that I wanted to mention was the grip of the jump rope. So, some people like to grip them fully. I personally don't recommend it. It's a little bit hard to control the rope that way. I like to actually grip at the bottom of my handles with a nice light grip like this. But I would recommend just something light and gripping, I would say maybe like halfway down the handle is usually probably good. But again, it's athlete preference and whatever you're comfortable with. It also depends on the rope that you're using as well. The handles differ rope to rope. So it's really, grip is athlete preference, honestly, whatever works for you. All right, so I'm gonna put 20 minutes on the clock. So y'all do for 9 minutes, every 3 minutes, you will do a 100-meter run, 10 perfect ring rows, 10 air squats, and then double under attempts in the remaining time. With the run, you don't need to go crazy. You don't have to run as hard as possible. This doesn't need to be a sprint. Go as fast as you want. Perfect ring rows. What I mean by perfect ring rows is I want you to make sure your core is nice and straight. You're not slunching with those ring rows, keeping that nice straight core, pulling it to your chest and back. And then air squats. Since the open is coming up, I figure it wouldn't be bad for y'all to make sure your squats are on point. So we just want to make sure you've got your knees in line with your toes and you're breaking parallel. As you come back up to full extension at the hips, what I find a lot of athletes doing during WODs, especially when they're trying to go fast, is a lot of this, where their hips don't get fully extended. So make sure to fully extend those hips and those knees at the top. And then for the double under attempts, your score, your quote unquote score for the WOD will be the amount of double unders you do in, so your singles won't count. And again, there's no shame in only getting a few or a lot. The focus here is not to like get your score, honestly. The focus is to be working on your double unders while just getting a little bit of a sweat in at the same time. For those of you at home, if you don't have ring rows to use, push-ups would be totally fine. You can do hand release, you can use your knees, any way to get those push-ups in. So this is just a good WOD to give you a quick slight little sweat, and then really focus on practicing those double unders in the midst of a workout.